Chosen one. Listen, this is not coincidence. The fact that your eyes and ears are here right now is proof that heaven has moved to find you. For too long you carried burdens in silence, wondering if God remembered your name. But today, the seal is broken. Your season of defeat has turned into a season of triumph. You won. You know the weight of loneliness. Nights where you sat in silence, staring at the ceiling, asking, when will it be my turn? Days when the laughter of others pierced you because it reminded you of what you did not yet have. And yet, despite the ache you endured, you kept walking when others gave up. You kept praying when answers seemed delayed. That perseverance was not wasted. It was preparation. Let me share a picture. Imagine a potter's wheel. The clay does not understand why it is being pressed, stretched, reshaped, over and over. It feels like breaking, but in the potter's hands, every pressure has purpose. When the vessel is finished, it is not fragile, it is strong, beautiful, ready to carry something precious. That is you. Heaven has been shaping you, refining you, so that when your lifetime partner arrives, you will not crumble under the weight of covenant love. There was once a chosen one who waited year after year for companionship. She felt invisible at gatherings, overlooked by friends who had already stepped into marriage. But when her season came, she discovered that the delay had been her greatest protection. The wrong people passed by. Counterfeits were exposed. By the time her God-ordained partner appeared, she was no longer desperate, she was ready. Her story is a reflection of yours. Waiting has not been wasted. It has been weaving your destiny together with someone you have yet to meet. See it like this. You are a lighthouse standing on a cliff. For a long time, the waves have crashed against you. Nights have been long, storms relentless, but the light inside you kept burning, even when no ships appeared on the horizon. Now, the appointed vessel is drawing near, guided by your unwavering light. Soon, two journeys will converge on one shore. Chosen one. You must understand, your victory is not only in surviving, it is in being transformed. The loneliness did not destroy you, it purified you. The silence did not erase you, it taught you to hear God's whisper. And now, the announcement from heaven is clear. The chapter of isolation is closing, and the chapter of covenant is opening. Hear the word of the Lord. The word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 22, he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. This is not just about romance, it is about favor. Your union will not be ordinary, it will carry divine purpose. Together, you and your lifetime partner will walk as a testimony of God's faithfulness. Where there was delay, there will be acceleration. Where there was emptiness, there will be overflow. So let this truth sink deep. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly on time for heaven's plan. Every trial was training. Every delay was divine choreography. And now, the page is turning. If you feel this word pressing into your spirit, do not hold it back. Share it so another chosen one can rise in hope. Subscribe to stay aligned with what heaven continues to release. And if your heart is ready to declare completion and covenant, comment the number 777 below. It is your sign that you agree with what God has already set in motion. And remember this, chosen one, the heavens have already stamped this promise with divine approval. You are not chasing love as the world does. You are walking into covenant, into something that reflects the eternal heart of God. This is why the wait was longer, because what is being given is weightier, holier, stronger. Do not let comparison steal your joy. What others rushed into and regretted, you will step into with peace. The one sent to you is not temporary, not counterfeit, not shallow. They will be the answer to prayers you whispered in the dark, the mirror of your own battles, the partner who has walked through their own fire to be ready for you. So lift your head, breathe deeply. The next chapter is not far away. It is already unfolding. The heavens have spoken, your victory stands, and your partner is on the way. Chosen one, you have walked through a season where loneliness pressed against you like a heavy cloak. It was not simply about being without a partner, it was the feeling that no one truly saw you, that even in a crowded room, your soul remained untouched. Every smile you gave felt like a mask, and every silent night stretched longer than the last. Yet what seemed like punishment was, in truth, preparation. Think of a soldier training in hidden barracks. The drills are grueling, the weapons feel heavy, and the exercises appear endless. There is no applause, no recognition, only sweat and discipline. But when the time of battle arrives, the soldier's body remembers every hour of practice, and victory becomes possible. Your loneliness was such training. Heaven was strengthening the muscles of your faith, so that when the covenant comes, you can carry it without collapsing under its weight. I want you to picture this. A violin string stretched too loosely produces no sound. Stretched too tightly, it may snap, but stretched to the right tension, it sings. Loneliness has been the stretching of your soul. Though uncomfortable, it was never aimless. The tension has created within you the capacity to resonate with the love God is preparing to place in your life. There was once a chosen one who kept journals hidden under her bed. Each page held prayers for a future partner, hopes, questions, sometimes even anger. She wondered if she was writing into emptiness. But years later, when her covenant partner entered her life, she pulled out those journals. To her astonishment, many of the qualities she had written in secret aligned perfectly with the one who now stood before her. The lonely writings had not been wasted. They had been prophetic seeds. Your tears have spoken, prayers you didn't even know how to form. Heaven heard everyone. Loneliness was not abandonment, but a refining fire. It removed attachments that would have bound you to the wrong people. It stripped away illusions that love could be casual, shallow, or disposable. In your solitude, you learned to value covenant love, not the counterfeit version the world parades, but the deep, holy connection that heaven ordains. Scripture gives us a mirror for this truth. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those crushed in spirit. You thought you were far from God in your loneliness, but in reality, He was closest then. Every sigh, every whisper, every ache in your chest was a place where His presence drew near. Look back at your journey with new eyes. The nights that felt wasted were not wasted at all. They were watering the soil of your soul. The unanswered questions became space for divine answers to one day arrive. The aching silence trained you to hear subtle whispers of the Spirit. Whispers that will now help you discern your true partner from imitations. Imagine a sculptor staring at a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it looks lifeless, without purpose. But the sculptor sees the masterpiece inside. With each strike of the chisel, the stone resists. Yet slowly a form begins to emerge. Loneliness was God's chisel. Every season of silence, every year of waiting, was not to destroy you, but to reveal the beauty already hidden within you. You may not realize this yet, but the capacity you now carry, the empathy, the resilience, the patience was birthed through those quiet nights. And these are exactly the qualities that will allow your covenant love to flourish when it arrives. For how can you embrace another soul deeply if you have never learned to befriend your own in solitude? Chosen one, do not despise the training ground. The battlefield of loneliness has already produced victory in you. You endured. You did not compromise when temptation whispered. You did not surrender your worth to desperation. That strength will now become the foundation of a love story that hell itself will tremble to see unfold. So let your heart find peace in this truth. The waiting was never a waste. It was heaven's classroom, shaping you for what others rushed into unprepared. You are not behind. You are being perfected for a love that will last. Think of the dawn. For hours, the world lies in darkness. But the moment light breaks, everything changes at once. The birds sing. The colors awaken. The chill fades. Your dawn is coming. And when it arrives, you will forget the heaviness of the night. Stand tall in this assurance. Your story is not one of delay, but of divine timing. The silence has served its purpose. And soon, the music of covenant will begin to play. You have been misunderstood. People saw your silence and thought it meant weakness. They misread your solitude as emptiness. They judged your life by what was visible and never recognized the hidden battles you were winning. But what looked like rejection was actually redirection. Heaven was separating you from what could never carry your destiny, aligning you instead for what will last. There was a chosen one who always felt out of place among friends. While others hurried into relationships, he lingered in prayer. He was often told, "You're too picky," or "You're afraid of commitment." But what they couldn't see was that God had marked him for covenant, not convenience. The very things people criticized became the safeguards of his destiny. Years later, when his ordained partner appeared, it was clear that the waiting, the misunderstanding, the isolation, all had been divine preparation. You too have endured this. The world may not know your worth, but heaven has already affirmed it. Misunderstanding is not a curse. It is confirmation that you are set apart. If everyone understood you, you would belong to everyone. But because not everyone can hold your light, you belong only to the one who called you and to the covenant partner he is sending. Picture it like a rare jewel locked inside a vault. Not everyone can handle it. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone is meant to touch it. The vault seemed like confinement, but it was actually protection. You are that jewel. The misunderstanding around you was heaven's way of keeping careless hands away until the right one arrives. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him." You have been walking in unseen preparation, and what is about to unfold will silence the voices that doubted you. Chosen one, do not resent being misunderstood. Let it become your badge of honor. It is the mark of those who are chosen for more. The enemy tried to use rejection to crush your spirit, but God used it to position your steps. The opinions of others do not dictate the outcome of your story. Now, I invite you to engage in a prophetic act. Write these words in the comments: set apart, chosen. When you declare this, you are embracing what others never understood about you. You are agreeing with heaven that the misunderstandings were not accidents but divine shields. And you are announcing that you are ready for the unveiling of your true destiny. Your season of being misread is closing. Your season of being revealed is opening. And when your lifetime partner enters your path, it will be undeniable that every delay, every rejection, and every misunderstanding was worth it. Think carefully about what it means to be misunderstood. If people had fully understood you, they might have tried to own you, to confine you, to shape you into their mold. Misunderstanding has been a wall of protection. It allowed you to keep your uniqueness intact. It preserved your purity of heart. It kept you from walking roads that would have led to heartbreak. So, instead of mourning the misunderstanding, thank God for it, because it preserved the version of you that heaven intended. Let us break it down. Rejection taught you discernment. Isolation taught you patience. And misunderstanding taught you resilience. Each of these qualities are essential to carry a covenant relationship. Imagine walking into a divine union without discernment. You would not know the difference between a counterfeit and a true partner. Imagine embracing covenant without patience. You would rush the process and damage what heaven had prepared. Imagine stepping into love without resilience. You would collapse at the first sign of difficulty. Do you see now? The very things that wounded you have become the very things that will sustain you. And when you wrote the words, set apart, chosen, in the comments, you were not typing letters into a void. You were declaring something eternal. You were telling the unseen realm that you embrace your separation as holy. You were acknowledging that what looked like rejection was in fact preservation. You were confirming that you belong to heaven's plan and will not settle for the world's imitation. This declaration is more than symbolic. Heaven responds to faith-filled words. You may not see the shift immediately, but you have set something in motion. By calling yourself set apart, you are aligning with the reality that your story is not ordinary. Your love will not be common, and your destiny will not be shallow. It will be deep, divine, and enduring. So, walk forward with confidence. The misunderstanding season has served its purpose. The unveiling season is here. Soon, the same voices that misjudged, you will witness the glory of your covenant, and they will know you were not strange. You were chosen. There are moments in your journey when signs begin to appear, almost too subtle to notice at first. You might brush them off as coincidence, but the truth is, heaven is speaking through them. These are prophetic signs of arrival, signals that the season of waiting is shifting, that the promise is drawing near. One sign is the sudden stirring of hope within you, a quiet conviction that refuses to be silenced. For so long, discouragement clouded your vision. You told yourself not to expect too much, not to dream too deeply, because disappointment had visited too many times. Yet now, without warning, something within you dares to believe again. This is not random. It is the Spirit whispering that the door is beginning to open. Another sign appears in the way your heart is being softened. Wounds that once felt sharp now sting less. Offenses that once consumed your mind no longer have power. Forgiveness flows easier. Patience feels lighter. And bitterness loses its grip. Why? Because heaven is preparing your heart to receive covenant love. The partner sent to you cannot thrive in a heart weighed down with old pain. This inner healing is the signal that the new is near. Consider also the encounters you've had lately. Conversations that seem ordinary suddenly strike a deeper chord. Stories of marriages and divine unions begin to reach you more frequently. Even in casual settings, words are spoken that seem to echo your own prayers. These are not accidents, they are confirmations. Breadcrumbs leading you toward what heaven has already aligned. Let me tell you a story. There was once a chosen one who had nearly given up hope. One day, as she was reading scripture in a quiet park, a stranger approached and simply said, "Don't stop believing. God is faithful." That stranger walked away, never to be seen again. But those words pierced her heart. Within a year, her God-ordained partner entered her life. Looking back, she realized that moment had been a prophetic sign, sent to awaken her faith for what was coming. Your signs may be different. Perhaps a dream that repeats itself. Perhaps a verse of scripture that seems to follow you everywhere. Perhaps an unshakable sense that change is near. Even if nothing outward has shifted yet, do not dismiss these moments. They are heaven's way of saying, "Hold on, the promise is approaching." Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verse 13, "But when He, the Spirit of truth, comes, He will guide you into all the truth. He will not speak on His own, He will speak only what He hears, and He will tell you what is yet to come." The Spirit is already guiding you through signs and impressions, pointing your heart toward what is unfolding. Think of the signs like the first light of dawn. At first, the horizon only grows faintly gray. Then a streak of gold appears. Then another, until suddenly the entire sky is filled with brilliance. The dawn does not come all at once. It comes in gradual signs. So it is with your covenant promise. The small indicators you notice now are proof that the sun is about to rise fully. Sometimes, the greatest sign is the shift inside you. Where there was despair, now there is quiet expectancy. Where there was heaviness, now there is lightness. Where there was fear, now there is courage. These are not simply feelings, they are the fingerprints of heaven, shaping you for what is ahead. Do not be discouraged if others cannot see what you see. Signs are not given for the crowd, they are given for the chosen. Others may dismiss them, but you know in your spirit when God is speaking. And when the fulfillment comes, you will remember the subtle hints, the whispered confirmations, the small sparks that preceded the fire. Chosen one, pay attention. What once looked like ordinary moments may now reveal extraordinary truths. The prophetic signs of arrival are not to tease you, but to prepare you. Heaven does not play with your heart. Heaven aligns your steps. And soon, the signs will no longer be subtle, they will be undeniable. When the undeniable comes, it will not be vague or confusing. You will know in your spirit. Just as surely as you know the difference between day and night, the scattered hints will connect like pieces of a puzzle, forming a picture too clear to ignore. And in that moment, every subtle sign you once wondered about will suddenly make sense, confirming that heaven had been guiding you all along toward your covenant promise. Chosen one, what heaven is sending to you is not an ordinary partner. This is not a temporary companion. not a fragile attachment, but a covenant prepared long before you were born. Covenant love is different from the love that the world speaks of. The world says love is about feelings, attraction, or convenience, but heaven says love is about assignment, about purpose, about two becoming one for a divine mission. Think of it this way: two candles burning alone produce their own small light, but when brought together, the flame doubles and pushes back more darkness. In the same way, your lifetime partner is not simply about companionship, it is about multiplication of light. Where you once stood as one, you will now stand as two, yet move as one. This is heaven's covenant design. There was a chosen one who once prayed for love just to ease loneliness. But God delayed the answer, because his plan was not to send someone to fill an empty space, but to send someone to build a holy future. Years later, when the covenant partner arrived, the chosen one realized, if God had answered my prayer in my timing, I would have settled for less. But because I waited, I received a covenant. The difference is night and day, temporary and eternal, ordinary and divine. This is what you must understand. Your partner is not coming to complete you, they are coming to complement you. You are already whole in God, but in covenant, your wholeness joins with theirs, and together you become an unshakable testimony of heaven's faithfulness. The prophet Hosea declared in chapter 2, verse 19, I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you in righteousness and justice, in love and compassion. Covenant love is built on righteousness, justice, love, and compassion, not on fleeting emotions. And this is the kind of love that will soon stand at your side. Now, I must speak plainly. The words you are hearing, the messages that pour into your life, are seeds being planted into your heart. Many chosen ones across the world are being strengthened through them. And just like a well that many come to drink from, this stream continues to flow so long as the well is kept clear and full. If your heart feels blessed, if these words have been like water to a thirsty soul, I invite you without pressure, without obligation, to consider sowing back. Supporting this work is like placing fresh wood on a fire so that the flame keeps burning, warming not only you, but many others who are cold in their waiting. Think of it like a lighthouse on a stormy shore. It stands tall, shining night after night, guiding ships home. But even a lighthouse needs oil to keep its flame alive. Without oil, the light dims, and ships wander in darkness. When you choose to give, you are providing oil for the flame. You are helping the light reach farther, guiding more chosen ones through their storm into safe harbor. This is not about buying blessings. Heaven's covenant cannot be purchased. It is about partnership, about keeping the message alive for those who are still in the valley of waiting. If you cannot give, know this: the word is still yours, freely. But if you can, and you feel led, your gift becomes part of the testimony. It becomes one more way you declare, I stand with the light. And as you do, remember, generosity always flows back in ways unseen. Seeds planted in faith grow into unexpected harvests, sometimes in peace, sometimes in provision, sometimes in breakthroughs you did not see coming. For the same God who promises covenant love also promises to honor those who give with a willing heart. So, Chosen one. Receive this message with peace. Heaven is sending you a lifetime partner, a covenant sealed in love, strengthened by righteousness, and protected by divine timing. And as you walk toward that promise, may your heart remain open, not only to receive, but also to pour out, so that the flame continues to guide many others to their breakthrough. If this word has touched you, click like. It is like lighting another small candle on this altar, helping the flame grow stronger. Share this message, and you become like a messenger bird, carrying hope to someone else still lost in the storm. Subscribe, so that you remain like a tree planted by living waters, always connected, always nourished, never missing the next drop of rain. And if you feel led, sow a seed of support, like pouring fresh oil into the lamp of the lighthouse. It is never a demand, but an invitation. The light keeps burning because hearts like yours keep it alive. Before covenant love can thrive, there must first be healing. Too often, chosen ones carry wounds from the past into the promises of the future. Old disappointments, hidden bitterness, and silent fears can poison even the sweetest gift if they are left unhealed. That is why heaven has taken time not only to prepare your partner, but also to prepare your heart. Think of a broken vase. You can pour fresh water and flowers into it, but if the cracks are never repaired, the water will leak out, and the beauty will not last. In the same way, God cannot allow covenant love to be poured into a heart that is still fractured. He first mends the cracks, seals the wounds, and restores your soul so that what is given will not be lost. There was once a chosen one who carried the memory of betrayal like a scar across her heart. She longed for love, yet deep inside she believed that love was unsafe. That intimacy always led to pain. Years passed, and she wondered why her prayers seemed unanswered. But then came a season of deep healing counsel, prayer, worship, and surrender. Slowly, the bitterness melted away, and peace returned. Not long after, a covenant partner arrived. She realized then that heaven had not been withholding love, but protecting it until her heart could hold it without breaking. Chosen one. Perhaps you too have felt this. The shadows of what others did to you still echo in your memory. The lies spoken against you sometimes replay in your mind. Yet what the enemy intended for destruction, heaven is turning into strength. Healing is not punishment, it is preparation. According to what is revealed in the book of James, chapter 5, verse 16, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Healing is both spiritual and relational. It comes when you release the weight, forgive the offense, and invite the Spirit to cleanse what time alone cannot. Imagine a garden after a wildfire. The flames seem to have destroyed everything, leaving ashes and blackened soil. But after rain falls and the sun returns, green shoots begin to push through the ground. Life reappears, stronger and more vibrant than before. That is your story. What burned you in the past will not define you. Healing is already causing new life to spring up. Do not despise this process. Healing takes time. Some days you feel strong. Other days, the old wounds ache again. Yet every step forward is progress. Heaven sees your journey, and your partner will one day thank God that you did not skip the process. For a healed heart can love deeply, faithfully, and without fear. It is also important to remember, healing is not forgetting. It is not pretending nothing happened. Healing is looking at the scar and realizing it no longer controls you. It is remembering without pain, forgiving without bitterness, and walking free without chains. Your partner, too, has been walking through their own healing, just as you are being restored. So are they. And when you finally meet, it will not be two broken souls clinging to each other for survival, but two whole hearts joining together in strength, chosen one. Healing is the doorway to covenant love. Without it, the promise cannot last. With it, the covenant becomes unshakable. This is why heaven whispers to you now, release the past. Embrace the process. Trust the timing. The new chapter cannot be written if the old wounds still bleed. Now, I invite you to respond in faith. Write in the comments the number 222. This is not just a number, it is a prophetic declaration. It symbolizes agreement, unity, and divine alignment. When you write it, you are proclaiming that your heart is being healed, that your steps are moving into order, and that you are ready for covenant love to be built on a strong foundation. Do this not as superstition, but as a prophetic act of agreement. Heaven sees your declaration. The healing is already flowing, and the covenant love prepared for you is one step closer. And when you write 222, you are not only declaring healing for yourself, but also alignment for your future covenant. 2 lives, 2 journeys, 2 hearts brought together under one divine purpose. It is a sign that what once felt scattered is being joined, that heaven is weaving the threads into one tapestry. So, let your declaration be bold. The old chapter is closing, and the healed, united chapter is opening. Heaven is already rejoicing over the alignment now unfolding in your life. The journey toward covenant has not been gentle. Darkness has tried, again and again, to break your heart. It whispered lies in the quiet, telling you that you were unworthy of love, that no one could truly understand you, that loneliness was your destiny. The battles you faced were not only external but internal battles of the mind, battles of the soul. Yet through it all, your light endured. Imagine a lamp placed in the middle of a storm. The winds howl, the rain lashes, the night thickens. Yet the flame flickers on, refusing to be extinguished. That lamp is you. Every heartbreak that came was meant to blow out your fire, but somehow the flame survived. You were not preserved by your own strength alone, but by the unseen hand of heaven shielding you when you thought you could not endure another blow. There was once a chosen one who loved deeply and gave wholeheartedly, only to be betrayed by those they trusted most. For a long time, they closed their heart, building walls so high that even joy could not climb them. But one night, as they prayed, they felt a quiet whisper. Your heart is not a cage, it is a garden. Let me tend to it. Over time, the walls crumbled, and new blossoms grew where weeds once choked the soil. The betrayal had not destroyed them, it had prepared them to cherish real love when it finally came. Chosen one, you may have faced similar betrayals. Perhaps friends turned into enemies, or promises made to you were broken without explanation. But every attempt of darkness to harden your heart has failed. You are still able to feel, still able to hope, still able to love. This is proof that the enemy did not win. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 3. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. That everlasting love has kept you alive. It has been your shield, your anchor, your reason to rise again when despair tried to pin you down. Think of yourself as a tree in winter. The branches are bare. The cold is biting, and it seems lifeless. Yet deep within, the roots remain alive, storing strength, waiting for spring. Darkness tried to convince you that winter was your ending, but heaven knew that spring was only hidden, not gone. Soon the blossoms will appear, and the beauty of what endured will astonish even you. Guardianship of purity is not easy. While others compromised for fleeting pleasures, you stood firm. While others accepted counterfeits, you held on to your worth. This is why the battle against you was so fierce. Darkness fears a heart that refuses to surrender its light. The enemy knows that a chosen one who remains pure becomes unstoppable, not only in love, but in destiny. And so every attack on your heart carried a hidden purpose: to distract you, to contaminate you, to convince you to give up before the covenant arrived. But you refused. You stood when it would have been easier to fall. You prayed when it would have been easier to give up. You protected your heart, even when it felt fragile, because somewhere deep down, you knew it was worth it. Now that perseverance is about to be rewarded, the purity you preserved will become the fertile soil for covenant love to grow. The walls you protected will now open, not to the wrong ones, but to the right one. What once felt like endless struggle will soon make sense. You were not fighting to survive. You were fighting to protect the garden where heaven's promise would be planted. Chosen one, take courage. Your story proves that light is stronger than darkness. The scars on your heart are not signs of defeat, but of survival. And when your partner comes, they will see not only your beauty but your strength, the strength of one who endured the storm and kept the flame alive. Your guardianship of purity has not been wasted. It has made you ready. The covenant will not arrive to a broken heart, but to a heart refined like gold, glowing with light that darkness could not steal. And when two such hearts meet, the world will witness the power of love preserved by heaven itself. And let this truth anchor you. The very battles that tried to destroy you have become the testimony that will sustain your covenant. You will not walk into love timidly, but boldly, knowing you endured fire and came out purified. Your partner will not only love you for who you are, but also honor the strength it took to remain pure. What the enemy tried to twist into shame has now become your crown, gleaming with the glory of endurance. There comes a moment in every chosen one's story when the unseen finally takes shape, when the long years of waiting and refining begin to reveal their purpose. That moment is the unveiling of divine pairing. This is not about chance encounters or fleeting attraction. It is about two flames, lit in different places, finally brought together to burn as one. You have felt incomplete at times, wondering if something was missing. But heaven never intended for you to be half of a whole. You were created whole in God, and your partner is also whole in Him. When the time is right, two complete souls merge. not to fill each other's emptiness, but to multiply each other's fullness. That is the mystery and beauty of divine union. Think of two rivers running separately for miles. Each has carved its own path, endured storms, nurtured lands, and carried life along its banks. When they finally meet, they do not lose their identity, but they become something greater, together, wider, stronger, unstoppable. So it will be when your life joins with the one chosen for you. There was once a chosen one who doubted whether divine union was even possible. She had seen too many broken marriages, too many shallow relationships, too many promises unkept. But in a quiet season of prayer, she was reminded of the story of Isaac and Rebekah. They were brought together not by striving, but by providence. In time, she, too, discovered that her divine pairing arrived not through desperation, but through alignment. When she stopped chasing, she was found. When she stopped fearing, she was embraced. Her testimony became a witness that heaven still orchestrates love stories today. Scripture says in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24, "That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh." This is not only about physical unity, but spiritual destiny. The two becoming one flesh means two lives, two callings, two journeys merging into a single assignment under God, chosen one. Understand this. Divine pairing is not random. Heaven does not play with hearts. Your partner has been walking their own road of trials and lessons, just as you have. Their struggles have mirrored yours in surprising ways, preparing them to understand your battles and walk beside you with compassion. When you meet, it will feel less like a beginning and more like a recognition. Ah, it was you all along. Imagine two melodies played separately, alone. They sound beautiful, but when played together in harmony, they create a symphony that neither could achieve on its own. Your life is one melody. Your partner's life is another. Heaven has been composing in secret, and soon the harmony will resound. Do not fear missing it. The Spirit who has guided you this far will guide you still. You will not stumble into covenant blindly. You will walk into it with peace. Your heart will recognize the alignment, not through confusion, but through clarity. You will know not because it is perfect in appearance, but because it is perfect in purpose. Also remember, divine pairing is not about ease, but about mission. When two chosen ones unite, their love becomes a force for the kingdom. The enemy trembles at such unions, for together you carry authority that neither could wield alone. Your prayers will multiply in power, your influence in light, your destiny in reach. Chosen one. Hold this vision before you. The waiting has been long, but the union will be worth every tear. When divine pairing is revealed, it will not feel like the hurried promises of the past. It will feel steady, sacred, sealed. You will see in their eyes the reflection of every lesson you endured, every victory you won, every prayer you whispered, and together you will know this is covenant. The unveiling is near. The rivers are converging, the melodies aligning, the flames preparing to merge. And when it happens, the testimony of your union will not only bless you, but inspire many others to believe again in the power of heaven's design. And when the unveiling comes, it will not be fragile or uncertain. It will stand firm, like a pillar placed on solid ground. Others may look and wonder how such a union could have formed, but you will know it was written before time began. The echoes of your prayers and theirs will meet in a single answer, and your hearts will recognize each other not as strangers, but as long-awaited companions. This is the power of divine pairing. When it arrives, it carries the weight of eternity, and nothing on earth or in hell can separate it. The moment heaven begins to align two lives for covenant, the opposition of darkness intensifies. Spiritual warfare rises because the enemy knows what is at stake. A God-ordained union is not just about companionship, it is about power, legacy, and destiny. When two chosen ones join, their prayers multiply, their light expands, and their impact disrupts the plans of hell. Perhaps you have already felt this battle. Every time you moved closer to peace, chaos suddenly appeared. Each time you opened your heart, betrayal or disappointment struck. These were not coincidences. They were targeted attacks designed to exhaust you before the covenant arrived. Yet here you are, still standing, proof that the enemy could not win. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated, hammered, and thrust into fire again and again. Sparks fly. Pressure intensifies, and the blade is struck without mercy. But the purpose of the process is not destruction, it is strengthening. You are that blade. The warfare you faced was forging your spirit into unbreakable steel, ready to defend love and walk in covenant with courage. There was once a chosen one who could not understand why relationships seemed cursed, why every attempt ended in heartbreak. But later, they realized that the enemy had been fighting so hard because the promise was too significant. When the true partner finally came, every past disappointment suddenly made sense. The battles were fierce because the blessing was great. Scripture says in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, the powers of this dark world, and spiritual forces of evil." The resistance you have felt was not simply human, it was spiritual, and the fact that you overcame it means heaven has already declared your victory. Imagine standing on a battlefield after the war has ended. The ground is scarred, the air heavy, yet you remain alive, victorious. That is where you stand now. The scars of the fight remind you of the cost, but they also remind you of your strength. The enemy tried everything, but your faith held. Your light endured. Your destiny remained intact. Chosen one. You need to know this. The warfare was proof of your worth. The enemy does not fight what is worthless. He fights what is powerful, what is destined, what will change generations. Your covenant is so significant that hell trembled at the thought of it. That is why you were attacked so relentlessly. Now the tables are turning. The same warfare meant to destroy you has only sharpened you. The same battles meant to silence you have only made your voice stronger. The union that is coming will not be weak. It will be forged in fire, refined in war, and anchored in God's strength. And here is your prophetic act. Write in the comments, "Victory is mine." It is short, it is clear, and it is powerful. When you declare this, you are not speaking from pride, but from faith. You are proclaiming that the battles you endured were not wasted, that the scars you carry are medals of triumph, and that the covenant ahead is already sealed in victory. Do not take this lightly. Your words shape the atmosphere. By declaring, "Victory is mine," you are reminding both heaven and hell that the outcome is settled, you won. The warfare has only confirmed what heaven already wrote. Your covenant cannot be stopped. When you type, "Victory is mine," you are not just repeating a phrase, you are activating a reality. These 3 words carry the weight of your testimony. They are not empty, because you lived through the fire and still stand. They are not shallow, because every scar on your heart validates their truth. Each time you declare them, it is as though you are planting a flag on the battlefield of your life, saying, "This ground belongs to God. This victory belongs to me." Understand this clearly. Victory does not mean you never felt pain. It means the pain did not break you. Victory does not mean the enemy never attacked. It means the attacks failed. Victory is not the absence of war. It is the outcome of endurance. And this outcome is yours. So when you write it, see it as an agreement with heaven's decree. You are joining your voice with the voice of angels who already sing over you. You are aligning your spirit with the eternal truth that no weapon formed against you could prosper. And in this alignment, you prepare your heart for covenant love. A love born from victory, not from defeat. Chosen one. You must learn to recognize the timing of heaven. Many grow restless, confusing delay with denial, or assuming silence means abandonment. Yet the truth is this: heaven's timing is precise. It is never early, never late. The pauses in your story are not empty. They are filled with preparation, alignment, and orchestration. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not expect fruit the next morning. He waters. He waits. He trusts the unseen process beneath the soil. To rush the harvest would only destroy it. In the same way, heaven has been tending to your life, watering you with grace, pruning away distractions, and waiting for the perfect moment when the fruit of covenant will appear. There was once a chosen one who grew weary of waiting. She thought God had forgotten her and tried to force her own timing. That path led only to pain, counterfeit, love, and broken promises. Yet, when she finally surrendered, she discovered that heaven had been preparing something far greater than she could have arranged on her own. What looked like delay had actually been protection. The Book of Ecclesiastes, Chapter 3, Verse 11, declares, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end." This beauty in timing is the promise that covers you, chosen one. Remember, heaven's clock does not tick like man's. What feels late to you is right on schedule in eternity. Like a symphony where each instrument must wait for its cue, your life has been carefully timed so that when the covenant partner enters, it will not be out of tune, but in perfect harmony. Now, let me speak to you about partnership. These words, these messages, are like lanterns set along a dark road. They shine so that chosen ones like you do not lose their way in the night. But lanterns need oil, fires need wood, and wells need fresh water. The flow continues because there are hands willing to pour back in. If this word has stirred your spirit, you may choose to like this message. That single act is like placing another star into the night sky, helping the firmament shine brighter for those still lost in the dark. If you share, You become like a bridge across a deep river, allowing others who feel stranded to cross into hope and light. Your step can become someone else's rescue. If you subscribe, you root yourself like a vineyard on fertile land, always receiving the rain in season, always bearing fruit in its time. And if you feel led to donate, see it as laying one stone into the foundation of a cathedral. Alone, the stone seems small, but together, it builds a sanctuary where countless souls can find shelter and light. No one is compelled. No one is forced. It is simply the joy of participation, of saying, I want this light to continue guiding others. When generosity flows from the heart, it becomes worship. It tells heaven, I am not only here to receive, I am also here to sustain the work that sustains me. And heaven, in turn, pours back blessings in ways that overflow. Chosen one, let peace guide your choices, whether you simply listen, whether you engage, whether you sow a seed. Know this, the timing of heaven is unfolding around you. The delays have purpose. The pauses are filled with promise, and the covenant you long for is moving steadily toward you. Trust the clock of eternity. Trust the melody of heaven's symphony, and trust that when the curtain rises on your divine love story, it will not be rushed, not delayed, but revealed in beauty at just the right time. And when that moment comes, you will look back and see that the waiting was never wasted. Every pause, every unanswered prayer, every delay, it was the careful hand of the master conductor preparing the stage. Like a painter layering colors before the final stroke, heaven has been building depth into your story so that when the covenant arrives, it will not be shallow, but radiant with meaning. Let this comfort you. Nothing has been lost. Even the years that seemed silent have been redeemed. Your journey is not a circle wandering endlessly. It is a spiral rising higher, closer to fulfillment with every turn. When the appointed time arrives, it will feel as though heaven itself leans close and whispers, now. And in that instant, everything will align, the waiting will break, the promise will manifest, and the beauty of divine timing will leave you breathless in awe. While you have been walking your journey of waiting, refinement, and healing, your lifetime partner has also been on their own path. Too often, you imagine yourself as the only one enduring the silence, the only one carrying the weight of longing. But heaven does not prepare only one, it prepares both. The story of your covenant is being written on two lives at once. Think for a moment about the refining you have endured, the sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the rejection, the seasons of silence. Now, understand that your partner has also faced their own trials, perhaps different in form, but similar in purpose. Just as a mirror reflects your image, their journey mirrors yours in significance. They, too, have known loneliness. They, too, have wrestled with doubt. They, too, have been shaped through fire, so that when you meet, the strength you carry will be matched by theirs. There was once a chosen one who doubted whether anyone could ever understand the depth of their battles. They felt too scarred, too complicated, too unique. But when their covenant partner finally entered their life, they were astonished to hear stories of pain and resilience that sounded almost like their own. Betrayals, losses, victories. The details were different, But the lessons were the same. They realized then that God had been preparing them separately but equally, so that their hearts would meet on common ground. Picture two blacksmiths working in distant villages, each shaping a blade without knowing the other exists. One strikes against steel, the other hammers iron, each creating a weapon strong and ready. When the time comes, the two swords are brought together to form a double-edged weapon, sharper and more powerful than either blade could be alone. This is what your partner's hidden journey has been, a parallel preparation so that, when joined with yours, the covenant will be unshakable. The writings in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, remind us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Notice it says all things, not just your story, not just your waiting, but also theirs. Every trial, every test, every lonely season they endured is being woven into the good that will manifest when the two of you are united. Sometimes, when you feel impatient, it is because you imagine your partner as already complete, simply waiting for you. But heaven's design is deeper. They are not just waiting, they are growing. They are learning to forgive, to endure, to hope again, just as you have. And when you finally come together, the testimony of your combined growth will make your love far richer than if you had met too soon. Think of two rivers, each carrying their own minerals, their own silt, their own stories of mountains crossed and valleys passed. When they finally merge, they bring with them everything they have gathered along the way. The union becomes a greater river, carrying abundance downstream. Likewise, your partner will bring the wisdom of their path, and you will bring yours. Together, you will carry more than either could alone. Chosen one. This truth is meant to free you from despair. You are not waiting in vain, even in the silence. Your partner has been moving, even in the hidden seasons. Their heart has been molded, and while you could not see them, heaven has seen both of you, carefully guiding each step toward the moment of convergence. The beauty of this design is that when you meet, it will not feel like strangers colliding, but like two travelers arriving at the same destination after long, parallel journées. You will recognize in each other the marks of endurance, the scars of battles fought, and the resilience of survivors. That recognition will bind you more deeply than attraction or convenience ever could. So, do not grow weary in waiting. Remember that you are not alone in your preparation. Across the distance, someone is also enduring, also hoping, also being shaped. And soon, the two paths will meet, not by chance, but by the orchestration of heaven. And when that day comes, you will both understand that the long road was not a delay, but a design that has made the covenant stronger, purer, and destined to last. And in that meeting, every unanswered question will dissolve into clarity. You will see that nothing was wasted, not a tear, not a prayer, not a single step of the journey. The years of shaping will stand before you in the form of a partner equally refined, equally prepared, and equally chosen to walk beside you forever. There are moments when clarity descends like a gentle rain, washing away the confusion and noise of your thoughts. This is how the Spirit often confirms covenant love, not with thunder or lightning, but with peace that settles so deeply You cannot deny it. The world tells you to measure love by appearances, wealth, or fleeting emotion. But heaven's way is different. Heaven says, listen to the stillness, for peace is its signature. Think back to the times when you forced open doors, chasing what looked promising but left your soul restless. No matter how exciting it seemed, there was always a knot in your spirit, an unease that would not leave. That was not peace, it was heaven protecting you, even when you did not recognize it. The counterfeit can mimic attraction, but it cannot produce peace. There was a chosen one who once thought she had found the right partner. Everything appeared perfect on the surface, shared interests, sweet words, even moments of joy. But late at night, when silence pressed in, she felt unrest in her heart. The laughter faded quickly. The conversations left her empty, and doubts lingered, no matter how she tried to silence them. Years later, when her true covenant partner appeared, the difference was immediate. For the first time, her soul exhaled. She described it as coming home. That is the confirmation. Peace brings, it feels like rest for the soul. The ancient words recorded in Colossians chapter 3, verse 15, speak clearly. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since, as members of one body, you were called to peace. And be thankful. Notice the word rule. Peace is not simply a feeling, it is an authority. It governs. It decides. It signals yes or no. Imagine peace as a compass in the wilderness. You may not see the full map, but the compass always points north. In the same way, peace points you toward covenant alignment. If you follow it, you will not wander endlessly. If you ignore it, you risk losing your way. Chosen one. The Spirit's confirmation will never confuse you. It will never demand you rush or beg. It will not pressure, manipulate, or deceive. True confirmation will steady you. It will whisper, this is safe. This is right. This is where you can rest. So when the moment comes, do not overcomplicate it. You will know because peace will stay, not fleeting, not fragile, but constant. Even in challenges, the peace will remain like a river flowing beneath the surface. That is how you will discern covenant love from counterfeit. Now, I invite you to make a declaration of agreement. Write the number 555 inches, the comments. This number is a symbol of grace and divine change. It represents the turning of seasons, the unfolding of transformation, and the peace that comes when heaven's will is revealed. By writing 555, you are proclaiming, I choose peace as my guide. I accept the Spirit's confirmation. I step into alignment with what heaven is revealing. It is not superstition, it is faith in action. Your declaration aligns you with the peace already stirring within you. Chosen one, let your heart rest. What is for you will never bring torment, only clarity. The Spirit is faithful, and the peace He gives cannot be shaken. Trust it, follow it, and let it carry you into the covenant prepared for your life. When you write 555, pause for a moment and let it be more than numbers on a screen. See it as planting a flag in your heart. You are saying, I will not be guided by fear, by loneliness, or by pressure. I will be guided by peace. That choice shifts the atmosphere. Because peace is not passive, it is powerful. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, it is the presence of God Himself within your spirit. It steadies you when emotions rage. It anchors you when circumstances shake. It whispers when voices grow loud around you. That is why the Apostle Paul told us to let peace rule. To rule means to act as an umpire, a judge, the final decision maker. So, when you mark 555, you are agreeing that peace is the judge of your relationships, not appearances, not fleeting feelings, not external pressure. And this declaration positions you perfectly for covenant love, because only a relationship aligned with heaven can pass the test of peace. Remember, the Spirit is not a God of confusion. If you are being pushed into panic or fear, that is not Him. If you feel a deep, steady stillness, even if you cannot explain why, that is Him. And in that stillness, you will find your confirmation. Covenant love is not merely about companionship. It is a weapon forged in the heart of heaven. When two chosen ones unite under divine design, their love becomes a force that disrupts darkness, breaks generational patterns, and establishes a legacy of light. This is why your union is so fiercely opposed by the enemy, because it carries authority that reaches far beyond your personal happiness. Think of the curses that have followed families for generations, patterns of broken marriages, cycles of abandonment, repeated betrayals. These chains pass silently from one line to the next, convincing each generation that dysfunction is normal. But covenant love is God's answer to these chains. When two chosen ones join together in holiness, they become breakers of curses, rewriting the story for their descendants. There was once a chosen one who came from a lineage marked by failed unions. She had watched her parents divorce. Her grandparents live in bitterness. Her relatives struggle endlessly. Fear whispered to her that she was doomed to repeat the same story. Yet when she stepped into covenant, something shifted. Her marriage did not replicate the brokenness she had known. It became a testimony of restoration. Years later, she saw her children walking in peace and love, untouched by the patterns that had haunted her family for decades. Her union had been a weapon of deliverance. Scripture affirms this in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 4. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Covenant love is one of these weapons. It demolishes the strongholds of loneliness, fear, and brokenness that once claimed dominion over your life. Imagine two torches brought together separately. Each can light a small space, but together they blaze with intensity, pushing back darkness further than either could alone. That is your covenant love. It is not simply warmth for your home, it is fire against the schemes of hell. Chosen one. This is why your waiting has been long and your trials fierce. Heaven is not sending you someone ordinary, but someone who will stand with you in battle. This union is not just for romance, it is for mission. Together, you will pray with power that shakes atmospheres. Together, you will raise a standard that exposes counterfeits. Together, you will establish a testimony that cannot be denied. Do not underestimate this. The love you are stepping into will ripple outward. Friends will see it and believe again. Family members will watch and be healed of cynicism. Children will grow in its shelter and rise into their own callings. The impact of your covenant will extend far beyond the two of you. It will touch generations. Think of it like a tree planted in once barren soil. For years, the land lay empty, producing thorns and weeds. But when the tree takes root, it begins to transform the environment. Its shade provides rest. Et fruits provide nourrissement. Its roots bring stability. Slowly, the barren place becomes a garden. Your covenant love will do this. It will turn wastelands into gardens, curses into blessings, despair into hope. Remember this, covenant love is both gift and assignment. It will bring joy, intimacy, laughter, and companionship. But it will also carry responsibility. The enemy does not fear shallow relationships. He fears holy ones. That is why your union will be contested, but also why it will be victorious. Chosen one. Prepare your heart for this truth. Your love story is not small. It is not a private matter hidden in the shadows. It is a banner, our proclamation, a living testimony that God still writes stories of redemption. And as you step into it, the chains that bound your family will shatter, and the blessing that follows will not stop with you. Your covenant love will be like a trumpet sounding on the battlefield. Its echo will reach farther than your eyes can see. Those who thought hope was gone will hear it and rise again. Families watching from a distance will see that God still restores what was broken. Strangers, who only glimpse your story in passing, will feel a spark reignite inside them. This is why heaven called you not to a small, Eden love, but to a love that proclaims. And understand this, the breaking of chains in your life is also the opening of doors for others. When you step into covenant, you are not only setting yourself free, you are blazing a trail so that future generations will walk on solid ground. Your love story becomes their inheritance, a living monument to the truth that God is faithful and His covenant is unshakable. When covenant love is revealed and established, it is not meant to exist in isolation. It carries within it a mission, a calling to walk as one in advancing the will of God on earth. Your partner is not merely a companion for comfort, but a co-laborer in destiny. Together, you will move in greater authority, greater impact, and greater testimony than either of you could accomplish alone. Think of a pair of oxen yoked together in ancient fields, alone. Each could plow a line of soil, but when joined, their strength doubled and their pace steadied. The field that once seemed endless became manageable because two worked as one. This is the essence of covenant partnership. It makes the impossible possible by combining strength, wisdom, and purpose under divine alignment. There was once a chosen one who longed not just for love, but for purpose in love. When her covenant partner entered her life, she discovered that their missions were intertwined. He carried a burden for healing. She carried a passion for teaching. Together, they created a space where both flowed in harmony, touching lives far beyond what either could have reached alone. Their marriage became not only a source of personal joy, but also a ministry that poured light into their community. Scripture says in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Covenant love draws its courage from this truth. When you walk as one, fear loses its grip, because you know heaven stands behind your mission. Imagine a pair of wings on a bird. One wing cannot carry flight by itself. Both must move in rhythm. When they do, the bird soars high above the earth. You and your partner are those wings. Alone, you can move forward, but together, you will rise into altitudes you never dreamed possible. Chosen one, your covenant will not be without challenges, but challenges will become stepping stones when faced together. Where one grows weary, the other will encourage. Where one faces doubt, the other will speak faith. Where one is attacked, the other will defend. This is the strength of walking as one. You are never alone in the battle again. Your partnership will also carry a prophetic witness to others. In a world filled with counterfeit love and fragile promises, your union will shine as a reminder that true covenant still exists. People will see the way you pray together, serve together, endure together, and they will be stirred to hope again. Your love becomes not only a private treasure, but also a public signpost pointing to God's faithfulness. Think of a lighthouse built on the edge of a cliff, alone. The stones are heavy and lifeless, but when carefully set together, they form a tower strong enough to withstand storms and shine a beam across the sea. You and your partner are those stones joined, not by accident, but by design, creating a structure that will guide many others to safety. Chosen one, your mission as a covenant pair is not to hide your light, but to let it shine. The love you share is not small, not fragile, not confined to the walls of your home. It is meant to overflow into the lives of others, to inspire faith, to break chains, and to leave a legacy that endures long after you are gone. So prepare your heart now. This union will bring joy, yes, but it will also bring responsibility. It is a calling, an assignment, a partnership with heaven itself. And as you step into it, you will discover that the greatest strength is not in standing alone, but in walking together two lives. One mission, one unshakable testimony of God's love at work in the world. And do not think lightly of this assignment. To walk as one is to weave your story into the greater story of God's kingdom. Each prayer you lift together becomes like a thread in a vast tapestry, strengthening not only your bond, but also the lives of those connected to you. Your shared mission may not always look grand in the eyes of the world. Sometimes it is as simple as opening your home, offering kindness, or praying quietly for another. Yet in heaven's eyes, these small acts resound loudly, shaking atmospheres and shifting destinies. Chosen one, remember this: covenant love is not just about what you gain, but about what you give together. It is a living altar, and every act of unity is a sacrifice of praise. Through it, you become living proof that when two walk as one, God Himself walks in their midst. Every time heaven prepares to release something precious, the counterfeit tries to appear first. False loves rise up, dressed in charm and cloaked in promises, but carrying none of the weight of covenant. The enemy knows he cannot stop what God has ordained, but he attempts to delay, to distract, and to drain your hope. That is why discernment is essential in this season. Think of a traveler in the desert, thirsty and desperate. Mirage after mirage appears on the horizon, shimmering like water, but vanishing when approached. Many give up and collapse because they chase illusions instead of pressing on to the true oasis. In the same way, counterfeit relationships may glitter in the moment, but cannot quench the thirst of your soul. Only covenant, sent by heaven, carries living water. There was once a chosen one who entered relationships out of fear of being alone. Each time, the beginning was bright words of affection, promises of forever, but soon the mask slipped. Lies, betrayal, and emptiness followed. For years, she wondered if something was wrong with her. But the truth was this: nothing was wrong with her. The counterfeits had simply arrived ahead of schedule, while the real promise was still being prepared. When her true covenant partner came, the difference was undeniable. Peace settled, love deepened, purpose aligned. Scripture warns us in the first letter of John, chapter 4, verse 1. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. The test is not in appearances or words, but in fruit, in peace, in alignment with heaven. Counterfeit love may stir excitement, but it cannot sustain peace. Chosen one, your heart must remain guarded, not hardened, no. Softness is required for love, but guarded with wisdom. Do not accept every hand that reaches for you. Do not surrender your worth to every promise whispered. Wait for the one whose presence feels like home, whose life mirrors the preparation of your own, whose love strengthens your mission instead of weakening it. And as you walk through this season of discernment, let me speak to your spirit in pictures. If this message resonates with you, consider pressing like it is, as though you place a stone of remembrance along the road. A marker that says, "Here I chose wisdom over illusion." If you share. It is like carrying a lantern into the night, lifting it high so that another weary traveler does not mistake a mirage for the true oasis. Your act of sharing becomes their protection. If you subscribe, it is as though you tether your heart to a steady anchor on the shore. No matter how the waves of counterfeits rise, you remain connected to the flow of truth, never drifting into confusion. If you feel this word speaking directly to you, leave a comment. It is like carving your name into the bark of a living tree. Generations will pass. Storms may come, but the carving remains, a testimony that you stood, you discerned, and you chose covenant over counterfeit. And if you feel led to donate, see it as sowing a seed into fertile soil. The seed may seem small, but from it rises a tree that shelters others from counterfeit winds. Your giving becomes a quiet but powerful act of building a refuge where many will find clarity and strength. None of these acts are demanded. They are invitations, like doors standing open. You may walk through if you choose. Each is a way of saying, I believe this light should continue to burn, not just for me, but for those who will come after me. End of 6. Chosen one. Your discernment is already sharpening. You have learned too much, endured too much, to be deceived again. The season of counterfeits is passing, and the covenant will soon stand before you, real, steady, undeniable. Hold fast to the wisdom you have gained, for it is the very shield that will guard your heart until the true promise arrives. And when it does, you will look back at the mirages and give thanks, not because they brought joy, but because they taught you to recognize the real. The counterfeits were loud, but the covenant is quiet and sure. The illusions were fleeting, but the promise is eternal. And when you step into it, you will know without doubt, this is what heaven always intended. And in that moment of recognition, you will realize that the counterfeit served only to sharpen your sight. You will thank God not just for the arrival of the covenant, but also for the wisdom gained through the testing, for without the storm, you could not value the calm, without the false, you could not treasure the true. This awareness will make your covenant all the more sacred. When heaven seals covenant love, it is not like the fragile promises of the world. It is not a bond that can be broken by distance, by circumstance, or by trial. It is a crown placed upon two souls, declaring before the heavens and the earth that what God has joined together, no force can separate. This is the crowning of covenant love, the moment when what was long awaited is marked as eternal. Think of a royal coronation. The crown is not handed lightly. It is placed after preparation, testing, and recognition. In the same way, your covenant is not given cheaply. It comes after seasons of refining, battles endured, lesson learned, and when it is placed upon you, it is not fragile. It is secured by the authority of heaven itself. There was once a chosen one who doubted that such permanence was possible. She had seen too many promises broken, too many vows forgotten. But when her covenant came, she discovered a love that did not waver. When storms struck, disagreements arose, challenges came, but the foundation held firm. She realized that covenant love was not about perfection. It was about unbreakable commitment, rooted in God's design. The book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 19, gives us this assurance. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. Covenant love is anchored in this hope. It is not adrift on the seas of shifting emotions, but secured in the eternal sanctuary of God's presence. Imagine two mountains standing side by side. Storms batter them. Winds howl. Rains fall. Yet they remain unshaken. Their strength is not in avoiding the storm, but in enduring it. Your covenant will be like those mountains, weathered yet unmoved. Scardiet majestic. Its strength will not be proven in ease, but in resilience. Chosen one. The crowning of covenant love is more than the joining of two hearts. It is the testimony that God's promises are faithful. Every tear, every prayer, every lonely night becomes jewels in the crown. The years that felt wasted are transformed into weight, giving the crown its substance. When you wear it, you will not carry vanity but authority. The authority to declare, heaven's word has come to pass. No, think of the crown as a circle. It has no beginning, no end, symbolizing eternity. That is why covenant is not temporary but everlasting. It reflects the very nature of God's love, which has no limit and no expiration. When you step into it, you are stepping into something that mirrors eternity itself. There is also great protection in this crowning. Just as a royal seal marks ownership and authority, covenant love carries heaven's mark. It is guarded against the schemes of darkness, protected from the counterfeit, and sustained through seasons of testing. The seal declares, "This belongs to God, and nothing shall break it." Chosen one, hold this vision close. The crown is not placed upon your head to make you boastful, but to remind you that you are entrusted with something sacred. Wear it with humility, with gratitude, with reverence, for the one who crowns you is not man but God. And what he seals, no power can undo. Your covenant will not just be a joy to you, it will be a witness to others, family, friends, Even strangers will see the endurance of your love and recognize that it is no ordinary union. They will sense the weight of the crown, the authority of the seal, the permanence of the promise, and through it, they will be drawn to believe that heaven still writes love stories that last. Chosen one. The crowning of covenant love is near. The waiting has not been in vain. The refining has not been wasted. Soon, the crown will rest upon you, and your union will stand as living proof that God is faithful. His timing is perfect, and His covenant cannot be broken. And when that crown rests upon you, it will not be heavy with burden, but radiant with glory. Every sacrifice, every season of silence, every unanswered question will gleam like jewels set into gold. You will feel heaven's smile over your union, not because it is flawless, but because it is faithful. This is the beauty of covenant. It turns pain into testimony, waiting into wisdom, endurance into strength. The crown you carry will not fade, for it is forged in eternity. Wherever you go, its shine will remind you what God seals. It sustains forever. There comes a moment when heaven calls for celebration, not of what is still far away, but of what has already been accomplished. You have walked through valleys, endured storms, faced rejection, wrestled with silence, and yet you stand here now, crowned and chosen. The prophetic celebration is not only about the arrival of your covenant partner, it is about recognizing that heaven's promise has already been written into your life. Imagine a great banquet hall filled with light. The tables are spread. The cups are full. The air resounds with music. This is how heaven views your story. Even before your eyes see the fullness of the promise, heaven rejoices as if it has already arrived. For in eternity, what is promised is as good as done. There was once a chosen one who struggled to celebrate. She felt unworthy, unsure, still scarred by the past. But one day, as she prayed, she felt a vision rise within her. She saw herself clothed in white, walking through a door into a room filled with song. She realized then that celebration was not arrogance, it was agreement. By rejoicing before the promise manifested, she was declaring her faith in what God had already finished. The psalmist declares in Psalms, chapter 30, verse 11, "You turned my wailing into dancing, you removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy." This is your portion now. The garments of mourning are lifted from your shoulders, replaced by garments of joy. What once weighed you down has become the very reason for your dance. Chosen one. Prophetic celebration is powerful. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you carry, from what you fear to what you know is secured. When you celebrate, you announce to both heaven and earth that you are aligned with God's word. Celebration becomes warfare. Joy becomes your weapon. And gratitude becomes your song of victory. Think of the butterfly emerging from its cocoon. For a long time, it appeared lifeless, hidden, unremarkable. But at the appointed time, the cocoon split open, and wings of color unfolded. The butterfly does not crawl back into the cocoon to mourn the waiting, it spreads its wings and flies. So it is with you. The season of waiting has ended, and the season of flight has begun. Your prophetic celebration will also prepare you for the covenant itself. A heart filled with gratitude can receive love without fear. A spirit anchored in joy can face challenges without despair. And a soul that knows how to celebrate will never again mistake delay for denial. Imagine standing on the threshold of a new home. The keys are in your hand. The door is before you. Even before you step inside, you smile, knowing it belongs to you. That smile is prophetic celebration. You do not wait for every room to be furnished or every wall to be painted. You rejoice because the promise is real, already in your grasp. Chosen one. Step into your celebration now. Do not wait for others to validate it. Do not silence your joy for fear of disappointment. The covenant has already been sealed. The crown has already been placed. And the celebration has already begun in heaven's courts. Join in that song. Let your heart dance. Let your spirit lift. For what is written cannot be erased, and what has been promised cannot be undone. This is the moment to declare with your life that it is finished. You are no longer wandering in uncertainty. You are walking in fulfillment. You are no longer defined by waiting. You are marked by promise. And as you move forward, the celebration of heaven will echo within you, carrying you into a future radiant with covenant love. And as you walk into that future, remember this: prophetic celebration is not meant to fade after a single moment. It is a rhythm you carry, a song you live by. Every morning you rise, you can clothe yourself in joy as deliberately as you clothe your body. Every evening, you can lay your head down with gratitude, knowing heaven has already secured your tomorrow. Your covenant will be a daily reminder of this truth. Each shared smile, each quiet prayer together, each step you take side by side will be another verse in your song of celebration. And long after the waiting is forgotten, the joy will remain, echoing in your home, in your family, and in the generations that follow. For celebration is not just an ending, it is the beginning of a new story, filled with light, anchored in promise, and crowned with eternal love. Chosen one. This journey has carried you from the shadows of waiting into the radiance of promise. Every tear has become a seed. Every scar has turned into a jewel set upon your crown. And now, as this chapter closes, you are not only hearing prophecy, you are stepping into its fulfillment. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. You are walking into a love sealed by heaven itself. And if these words have stirred your spirit, see these small actions not as obligations, but as sacred gestures of beauty. When you press like, it is as if you place another candle upon the altar, letting the light stretch further into the night. When you share, you become a dove carrying an olive branch, announcing that the storm has passed and new land awaits. When you subscribe, you are like an ancient tree sinking its roots by living waters evergreen, ever ready to receive the rains of grace. When you leave a comment, it is like etching your mark upon stone, so that angels and people alike will know you believed, you stood, you received, and if you choose to give, it is like placing a precious stone into the hands of a master builder, stone by stone. Together we raise a sanctuary where countless souls will one day find shelter and light. None of this is demanded. It is freedom. It is beauty, the beauty of a heart that knows how to give as much as it knows how to receive. And as you step away from these words, remember this: your story does not end here. The promise lives, the covenant is sealed, and the brightest days of your life are the days ahead.